Chapter 10, Party of 1, Q&A. Bev, this chapter is about surviving social functions for single parents. Sounds so scary. Is it something that you found intimidating initially?
Absolutely. I didn't have a very good sense of self when I got divorced at all. I had a lot of work to be done on clearing out all the cobwebs and insecurities and feelings of inadequacy that I'd carried with me in my life till then. And as a single person going to functions and etc., I think that there's a huge cultural bias in the white communities, that it's an expectation that you'll come alone. And that is something that I struggled with in putting into this chapter, because I know that in the non-white communities, it's never be expected that you'd come alone. Of course you'll come with friends if you're widowed or unpartnered or divorced. Of course you'll bring friends. It's not even a question. And in our community, it's like, what's going on? How come she came with a girl? You know, it's just such a bizarre cultural bias. And I don't think it's just typical of divorced women or women who have chosen to have children without a partner, with a donor, not with a husband or partner. I think that it's very typical also of people in the business world a lot, and of people in relationships where their partners travel a fortune on business. They're often alone, and they're often parenting alone. And so it's not just typical of the single parenting thing, but I felt very much, until I developed myself and did not need to source my worthiness, value, affirmation, and etc. from other people, that I was uncomfortable and lonely and not knowing what to do and feeling like I was being watched, which we're not. We're not being watched. It's just that experience of that feeling of inadequacy and not belonging. But now, one of the things I love the most is not engaging. I will often spend time at lunches or dinners I'm invited to, or wherever I am, if I don't feel like engaging, and just absorbing other people's energy and watching what they're doing. So comfortable to stand in a cocktail party and just watch people, and I'll engage when I'm ready, and when I'm ready to engage, people will draw themselves to me and I'll engage with them, or I'll just start talking to people, and if they don't want to talk back, next. It's not a feeling of inadequacy that comes up. Oh my goodness, I'm not good enough. I know I'm good enough. I know I have value and worth. That person does not wish to engage with me. May come from their place of insecurity and inadequacy. Oh my goodness, this person spoke to me and I don't know what to say. And that's often what it is. And we see this big reflection that it's something about us, and it's not.
But so many people have these social phobias. Have you got any advice, any tips for them? Because, you know, they may not be there yet where they're completely comfortable and self-assured. Do you have any advice for people like that?
Absolutely. This chapter is filled with that. SMS yourself. That was my best. I did that several times. And it was so much fun because it looks like you're engaging with someone, and there you go SMSing, and if anyone does notice, they can see you're busy. And then a few seconds later, your phone beeps. It's like, oh, look, I got a message, and off you go again. And I did that a couple of times, and I found it very entertaining and empowering. And it was a great reminder, you know what, Bev, you're not alone. You're not alone, and can't you get that in your head? You're with you. You're never alone if you're with you. And it speaks so much volumes to that poem that comes at the end of this book that came to me. I can't even claim to have written it, but it was a very fast write down wherever it did come from, and it's very much about that. You need to celebrate yourself, and if you can do that, it doesn't matter who you're with or what's going on. You can be contained. You're never alone.
And celebrate in healthy ways, because, you know, at a lot of these functions, people head straight for the bar because a few drinks in them and you can overcome anything.
It's true. It takes us back to the whole issue of self-esteem, Kelly, because people who don't have a very strong sense of their own value and worth don't feel full, and they don't feel full enough to be in the room and be present. They feel like they need something more to fill them up, and so they'll take drugs or they'll take alcohol, and they do something to separate from their consciousness so that they can be present.
Well, can you also tell us more about this important life skill? You called it asking questions, because that can often help at a party. Ask the questions.
Absolutely. It's the biggest thing people fear in these public gatherings is small talk. I can't do small talk. There's no such thing. Can you speak your language? Then you can do small talk. That's the bottom line. You just don't know how to because you have a fear of rejection. Let's get to the bottom line. I always want to get there. Let's understand what the base of this problem is, and the bottom line is yes, then we can move up from it. But no builder ever goes in to rebuild a house and says, well, we're halfway to the foundation, let's just start building now. You have to get to the bottom of it. When you're at the bottom of it, yay, then you can build up on something solid. But if you don't do that, you can't. So the bottom of why I can't engage in small talk is I have a fear of rejection. I'm scared that if I ask something, somebody will not answer, snub me, or reject me. It's very uncomfortable for me because I don't feel like I'm enough. I feel like that is reflective of me not being valuable enough. Can't deal with it. But small talk is really about pretending to be a talk show host. They don't risk rejection. They've called you in. So you're in a place where you need to engage with other people, or you should engage with other people. You don't know how. Get a repertoire. That's what the book is saying. Get a repertoire. Get some questions you can talk about. People love talking about themselves, but no one wants to interview them. So when you ask them questions that's not about themselves, they do feel vulnerable because they don't know you. Now they have to offer you something they think. What if you reject them? But when you show genuine interest to someone or in someone, and they have an opportunity to share something about themselves or their children, and you're showing genuine interest, no rejection, they feel like you care, they want to share about themselves, and then they can engage with you. But if you're not willing to do that, they're not going to engage with you because it comes from a place of absolute fear. And if they're coming from a place of fear, they cannot risk you giving them the impression they're not valuable enough to engage with. So they rather back away. So small talk is about saying, it's not about me. That's what it's about saying. This conversation I'm about to have is not about me. So don't be looking for your first opportunity to jump in and start talking about yourself. Wait till they ask about you. You'll know you got it when they start asking about you. And a lot of times you do an experiment. People will say, gee whiz, Jim was nice. That guy is fantastic. I just spoke to him for the last 20 minutes. They say, really? Where did he go to school? I don't know. Really? Or what does he do? Oh, I don't know. How did he come to be at this party? I'm not sure. What did you talk about? Me. That's the real answer. We loved him because he was interested in me.
And another suggestion you give when it comes to making small talk is write down and think about what you would love to talk about. Why does that work?
Because we are generally reflections of each other, especially when we don't know people, and especially when we're in an alien environment that we're not used to. We're reflections of each other. People are in the same position. Unless they're huddled with 3 people they know, or moving from crowd to crowd because they know everyone, they're in the same position. And so if you know what you'd love to talk about, there's a good chance they'd be wanting to talk about that too. Now, I'm not talking about motorcycles. I'm talking about the genuine things about you that interest you to share with other people. So it's at a children's party, yay, that's easy. Which child is yours? Which is yours? How did you come to be here? How are you related? Are you friends? And you're asking questions. Now, if someone asked that of you, wouldn't you want to share that information? Of course you would. Someone comes up to you and says, are you enjoying the party? Yeah, it's a party. It's a 3-year-old's party. It's a 7-year-old's party, whatever it is. Oh, which one's yours? Those 2, that one, whatever. Really? Oh, how cute. That Mickey Mouse thing, do they really love that? Yes, they do. And so the conversation goes on. And there's tips in this book on how to keep the conversation flowing. But there are also books that you can buy that teach you how to focus on people. But if you write down what you'd love to talk about and you say to yourself, okay, I'd love to talk about the things I enjoy, my kids, what they do, what fills them up, where we have fun, etc., how work frustrates me, whatever. Good chance someone else wants to talk about that. How can I get them to talk about that? I need to ask questions that don't end in yes or no. That's the conversation killer, where people go, oh, stumped. The zoo's stumped. What do I do? What do I do? Don't ask those questions. It takes a bit of practice. All of this we've chatted earlier. It's about work. Do you want to be better in life, feel more valuable, feel more empowered? Yes, I do. Great. Are you willing to do the work?
Thank you, Bev, for those wonderful insights. And onwards to chapter 11.